What is up, my people? DA Comics here, back around the boxes. You know what it is. We're back, boys. 2 weeks in a row. Can I get a streak in the comments? Yeah? Trying to be more consistent with content, like I mentioned last week. I'm really trying to do this every week. It's just, with all of the health issues I've been having, you know, I've been struggling a little bit. But I'm trying. But today, I'm actually going to try and do a full show for you guys. So, we are not just doing a rushed episode this time. We are not just doing, pickups and then that's it. That's kind of what I've been doing the last few episodes because it's just been really hard for me to do a full episode, and it still is. But I had a lot of stuff to talk about this week, so I figured we'd do a full episode. And what I mean by full episode is we have multiple different topics to kind of go over and talk about. Some news in the comic book industry. I'm going to be talking about some of my... I'm going to be doing my pickups, of course. I'm going to be talking about some news. I'm going to be talking about my collecting goals. I had a comment recently that wanted me to talk about that, so we are going to be doing that in this episode. Talking about long-term goals, short-term goals, just kind of the whole idea of having a goal in collecting, just for any, maybe new collectors out there who are trying to figure out what they want to do. And then the main, obviously the title, thumbnail, the main story, I guess, for this episode is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I did see it. I saw it on the Saturday after it came out. So it came out Thursday night. I saw it Saturday. Loved it. I'll talk more about it when I get to that. But before we dive into that, I guess we can just dive right into our first topic today, which will be my new pickups. What is up, Katie Kaboom in the chat? How you doing? So, new pickups this week. As I mentioned last week, these are actually some old pickups. I got these a while ago, but I had a huge stack of comics that I hadn't read yet, and I like to read them before I talk about them here on Around the Boxes. So I still have more. I've been working my way through the pile. I still have a few more comics I need to read, and that'll probably be on next week's episode. But for this... Sorry, I'm getting a thing on my stream over here. For this episode, I'm just going to go over the ones that I have read and talk about them, as well as some books that I picked up this week. No, I haven't read the books I picked up this week yet. So we're a little bit behind, but trying to catch up. I figured it was better to do an episode with what I have read so far rather than waiting till I read them all, because then I might end up not making an episode this week, and I wanted to make an episode this week, even though we're a couple days late. So books I picked up recently. We have, now, this is a series. You may have noticed last week I was dropping some series. I'm doing that as well this week, because having that huge pile of comics, that's something that's happened to me a lot in my collecting history. Like, I'll keep going to the comic store and picking up comics every week, but I'll fall behind on reading them, and then I'll get a huge stack of them, and then it gets to the point where it's so overwhelming that I stop going to the comic store, and then when I'm ready to get back into it, I'm months behind. I gotta catch up. It's a whole issue. And I think what happens is I always want to pick up so many series that I end up getting overwhelmed by it. Like, I think I bite off more than I can chew, so to speak. So I'm trying to be really strict this time. I don't want to fall off or fall behind. So if there's a book that I'm not looking forward to reading, I am dropping it. End of story. Like, that's it. And so that is how I feel about She-Hulk. I tried the first 2 issues. I didn't even read this one because it was in my big pile and I didn't even want to read it. So I was like, okay, if I don't even want to read this, I shouldn't even be spending money on it. So I'm just dropping it. I'm not picking up anymore. It's not bad. It's just not really my thing. Just didn't really enjoy it that much. Another book that I won't be picking up anymore is Iron Fist. I got issue 1, and I actually liked issue 1, but I just wasn't really interested in issue 2, like, when it came out, I wasn't like, oh, nice, Iron Fist issue 2, and that's my metric for success. That's my metric for whether a book stays on my pull list, is if I'm looking forward to new issues of it, with some exceptions, of course. We'll talk about those in a little bit, but, so yeah, not going to be picking up more Iron Fist. Just don't really care. I'm glad that it's a series that's happening. I think it's cool. I like the new Iron Fist character, but I don't want to be spending money, and I'm not looking forward to reading it, and it's just too much. So now, some comics that I did actually read. We have Devil's Reign 6 of 6, the final part. This was pretty good. I kind of forgot what happened because it's been so long since I read Devil's Reign 5, but I remembered quickly. And I definitely enjoyed this issue. I think it was a good ending to the series. Devil's Reign was pretty good all in all. I wouldn't rank it like up there with some of the greats. Like, it's not Secret Wars level. It's not, you know, what is some other Infinity level, but it is good. So I'm glad to have all 6 issues. Maybe I'll go back and read them again to actually get the full story like in one go. But yeah, I'd give it, you know, rating out of 10. We'll call it a 6. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like hooked. Now in the next book, we have Venom number 7, Legacy 207. And I have been very critical about this run so far. Have not really enjoyed it. And I gotta say, it's still not winning me over. Even though we're in a new storyline now, issue 6 and issue 7, I just, honestly, I really, really don't like the artist. I don't like the artist, and it's been the same artist on every single issue. I'm waiting for it to rotate. I just don't think it's, I don't know, it's just, I don't like the art. I don't know what it is, but it bothers me. It's just not good. Hang on, let me make sure my stream is going well. I'm having bitrate issues over here. Technical difficulties. Time out for 1 second. Let me just check my settings, make sure everything is Gucci. I don't want any like cuts in the video or anything. Output, bitrate. Let's try this. I don't know if it'll update right away or if I'd have to restart for it to update, but we'll see if that makes it any better. Anyway, but yeah, so this is one of those books where even though I'm not looking forward to each issue, I'm gonna keep picking it up because it's Venom. I feel the same about like Spider-Man and stuff, but not liking it. Not liking it. Actually, I'm seeing. Hang on. Let me check something here in the front. Oh, so this issue wasn't even written by Al Ewing. It was Ram V. Well, I didn't notice any improvement in the writing, so, you know, whatever. I don't want to. It's fine. It's not bad. I haven't been enjoying it that much. If there's any huge Venom fans out there who are loving it, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, either in the live chat or in the comments, because I'm not really enjoying it that much, but maybe someone else is. I'd love to hear if you are and why. But speaking of Venom, finally got around to reading Venom Lethal Protector number 1. This came out a while ago, and I've had this on my pile for some time. Awesome cover. The book itself was good. You know, I was happy to see Venom back in like the 90s era. You know, that was super cool, like classic Eddie Brock Venom Lethal Protector era. But I don't know. The story was just kind of okay. It wasn't mind-blowing. It didn't do anything crazy for me. I did like the art a lot better. I wish they would get this artist over on the main series. But yeah, I don't know. I was pretty underwhelmed by a lot of these books. And that's a big reason why I wasn't looking forward to reading them. But the last book I have to talk about this week is Carnage issue 2. Which I will say, one thing that I am very disappointed about is that they are not doing the legacy numbering on this series. Even though in past Carnage series they have done legacy numbering. So I don't know why they've chosen to omit that. But I actually really like this book. And this is written by Ram V as well, the guy who's writing Venom. But I enjoyed this a lot more. I love that it's kind of like a horror book. I mean, Carnage, the character, has undergone a lot of changes over the years, obviously. Cletus Cassidy's not really around anymore. It's mostly just the symbiote, and it's very dark and gritty, and it's really good. I actually really like what they're doing with it. I hope this isn't a limited run. I hope this is actually just an ongoing series like Venom. You know, if Venom gets his own series, I think Carnage should get his own series, in my opinion. So I'm here for it. I'm happy with it. I'm enjoying it. It took me a while to read this just because I got behind on reading, but this was definitely my pick of the week. We'll call it. I think I'm gonna start doing that every week. I'm gonna have a pick of the week because I always generally do save my favorite one for last. So pick of the week, definitely Carnage number 2. Liking it a lot. So good stuff. Keep it up, Marvel. But that is all of my pickups for this week. Good stuff. Not a whole lot. Budget's a little bit tighter right now. I'm not working as much right now. out sick and all that, so just getting the new books that are coming out. I'm not buying any back issues or anything like that. Once I get back in good health and am able to work again and do all of that, then I will be getting back into buying back issues, and we'll talk more about that with my collecting goals. But before we dive into collecting goals, I have some news in the comic book industry that I wanted to talk about here in a video. And first bit, how do I open this link? Here we go. Is what the heck is going on with the Amazing Spider-Man? Now, if you saw last week's episode where I talked about the new issue 1 for Amazing Spider-Man. Now, first of all, a lot of people I've seen on the internet are complaining that they're doing another issue 1. They're like listing out like, oh, here's all the reboots that they've done. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do not mind that they're doing issue 1s as long as they have the legacy numbering. Like, having the issue number be what issue in the creative run it is and having the legacy number there, I'm good with that. So no complaints from me, Marvel. Feel free to reboot this run after 10 issues and get a better artist and writer, because it's looking like this series is not going to span out very well. I was recently playing video games with JP Creations. You guys know him. And I'll probably have him on for an episode of Around the Boxes to talk about Amazing Spider-Man, maybe after we're like a full arc in. But we were talking about how we were both kind of disappointed with issue 1. We didn't really like the direction it was going in, but we also both agreed that we needed to hold out our judgment, funny choice of words, until we got further into the series, because, you know, maybe they have a plan for it, maybe it's going to go somewhere that's interesting. But, you know, if you want my full thoughts on issue 1, go check out the last episode of Around the Boxes, episode 17. I talked about it in depth there. But the reason I'm bringing it back up again is because it's looking like exactly what I was worried is going to happen, which is these writers can't think of anything new. They can't think of anything original to do in this series. I mean, literally, right from issue 1, they're like, oh, MJ's mad at Peter again. Aunt May's mad at Peter again. Peter's distancing himself from everyone he cares about again. And now, of course, Gwen Stacy's back again, which has happened how many times? This many times. In 1975, Gwen Stacy has come back from the dead. 1994, Gwen Stacy has come back from the dead. 2016, Gwen Stacy has come back from the dead. And now 2022, Gwen Stacy. So 1975, I'm pretty sure that was the first clone right after her death, written by Gary Conway, so that was fine. 1994, I think they did it during the clone conspiracy. Still, you know, there's a 20-year gap there, right? Then you go to 2016, you have another 20-year gap. This was during the clone conspiracy that Dan Slott wrote, and they at least did it in an interesting way. And now, a measly 6 years later, it's already happening again. Shout out at the Nth Doctor on Twitter for this tweet. Now, this is just a cover preview for, I believe, issue number 6. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Part of a crossover with this Judgment Day. Now, I have a couple of complaints here. First complaint. You guys know this, and I will continue to say it. I freaking hate event tie-ins in standalone series. If I wanted to read Judgment Day, which I probably will, I will go and buy the Judgment Day comics. What bothers me is I want to read The Amazing Spider-Man, not Judgment Day featuring The Amazing Spider-Man. And it's so annoying, especially when it happens early in a run, because this run is just getting started. We're going to get 5 issues in. They're already going to have to rush the first storyline because they have to get the big issue 900 out 5 issues in, and then immediately they're going to do tie-ins. It just really ruins the flow of the series, and it's really annoying when you're reading a series back, you know, years from now. Like if you go back to the Venom run written by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman, you're reading one cohesive story, and then all of a sudden there's a tie-in with what was it? It was the War of the Realms. War of the Realms. All of a sudden, there's War of the Realms tie-in out of nowhere. It totally ruins the flow of the series. So I'm not happy that that's happening, period. But the fact that we are going back to one of the most overused plot devices in Spider-Man, which is Gwen Stacy's back, and then she's not actually back. Or maybe she will be back. But either way, I'm not a fan. I think it's dumb. I don't think that they should be doing this, and it's further making me believe that they do not have any creative or original ideas for the Amazing Spider-Man run. And I really wish they would do something new with it. I really liked what Nick Spencer did with it. He returned Peter back to his roots, getting back with Mary Jane, and having that arc. He actually introduced a new character in Kindred, obviously being a different take on the character, but on an existing character. But Kindred was really cool. It was new. It was different. I really liked that Nick wasn't afraid to be creative and do something different and do something new. It seems like this run is not going to be that. This run, it seems to be some, regurgitated storylines that we've had happen before. So I would say overall, I am not happy. There we go. I am not super happy about the future of this Amazing Spider-Man run. Again, I'm holding out judgment. We're going to get at least a storyline in, and then we'll probably have an episode of Around the Boxes where I'll have JP on, and we'll discuss it in depth about what our thoughts are on it. And then, of course, once the run is over, then we'll take a look back and really reflect on if it was good or not. But right now, it's not looking great, so I'm a little nervous about that because, in my opinion, Amazing Spider-Man has been great ever since Dan Slott left. So I'm not looking forward to that going back. Speaking of Dan Slott, we also have a new Spider-Verse series has been revealed, helmed by Dan Slott. So Dan Slott is not done with the Spider-Verse. Now, I understand why they would want to bring Dan Slott back, as he is the creator of the Spider-Verse, storyline and concept. So I'm okay with them bringing him back, but it's Edge of Spider-Verse, which I'm pretty sure we've done that before, so I don't know what that's about. But basically, we're just diving further into the Spider-Verse. So you can see we've got the Devil Dinosaur in the back here, Spider-Man Noir, and whoever this character is. Does it say up here? The end of the Spider-Verse, they're teasing it as. So we'll see what happens there. They're bringing the saga of the comic book Spider-Verse to a fiery conclusion. So I guess they're kind of turning it into a trilogy. We had Spider-Verse, we had Spider-Geddon, and then now we have Edge of Spider-Verse. Edge of Spider-Verse #1 by Dan Slott, Alex Segura, and Carla Pacheco. Art by Mark Bagley and more. So I'm hyped about that. Looks like Bagley's going to be doing the art on all 3 of these issues. But what I will say, I don't know if it was in this article, we see some new Spider-Verse variants. Where did that go? What the heck? Y'all see that? It just disappeared. Let me try refreshing the page. We see some new Spider-Verse characters, which I wanted to talk about a little bit. See some here. This looks like maybe some kind of symbiote. Obviously Spider-Gwen down there, fan favorite. This looks to be a Black Cat Spider-Woman, which I am absolutely here for. I am a fan. You guys know I love Black Cat. She is probably my favorite one of Spider-Man's girlfriends. I mean, Mary Jane, obviously, you gotta put some respect on her name, but I really like Black Cat a lot as a character. I wish that she would appear more often in the main Spider-Man series, which is why I've really enjoyed that she was appearing in Beyond quite a bit, and hopefully that'll continue in the new run. But I am definitely interested in a Black Cat Spider-Woman. That'll be interesting, especially to see... They went away again. Especially to see if she still has her luck powers as well as spider powers. Okay, well, for some reason it won't let me go to more pictures, but that was the main one I wanted to talk about, was the Black Cat Spider-Woman. I feel like they should call her like Black Spider or something. But yeah, so that's what's going on in the Spider-Verse update. We have a new Spider-Verse storyline. We have the future of Amazing Spider-Man looking a little rocky. Just wanted to give my thoughts on that. But most importantly, I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know. How do you feel about all of this news? Are you excited that Gwen Stacy's coming back? Do you think that it is going to be a good run? Are you excited for this new Spider-Verse storyline, or not so much? Are you a little over it at this point? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm open to hearing different opinions. You know, if you think that Gwen Stacy coming back is the best thing that could possibly happen, then go ahead and give me your reasoning why, and I'd love to read it and see. So I read every single comment, so let me know. But yeah, from there... what are we at? We're at 20 minutes? Yeah, that's good. My hair's a mess, in case you can't tell. I desperately need a haircut, as you guys know. But we're quarantining, so haven't trimmed the beard in a long time. Haven't cut the hair in a long time. We're full shaggy mode. But I wanted to talk about some collecting goals because I think setting goals is definitely a really important part of having any active hobby. And what I mean by active hobby is something that you are actively devoting time to, devoting money to, devoting effort to. Because there are hobbies like, well, I think most hobbies that's the case, you know. If you really like reading books, you set a goal for how many books you want to read or when you want to finish a book by, and different goals like that. So when it comes to comic collecting, I feel like setting a goal is a really important part of collecting anything, especially comic books, because the great part about setting a goal is it gives you a direction to focus your energy and time towards, but it also gives you something you can accomplish, which feels good, right? Because collecting can be really daunting. There's hundreds of thousands of comics that have been printed, so if you're like just collecting mindlessly, you're going to get overwhelmed by the wide variety of comic books that are available, and you're going to feel like it's an impossible task to collect all the ones you want to, etc. And so I think it's really important as fellow comic collectors out there to, you know, sit down and think and go, what are my goals? Why do I do this? And what do I want to get out of this? So if for you that is that you want to get value out of your comics, then your collecting should be focused around buying books that are going to appreciate in value, right? Like first appearances and deaths, and like if a new first appearance comes out, you should be picking up multiple copies of it, and like you're going for overall value on your collection. Me personally, value is definitely not my priority. It is certainly a factor. I mean, collecting anything, especially something as expensive as comic books, value is important. You want to buy something at a good value. You want it to appreciate in value. And for the most part, my collection has. I've definitely made a profit on it. But for me, collecting is just about the love of the medium, the art. I love comic books, and I love comic book characters. I love the history of them, and to me it's exciting to have these characters that have comic book series that have gone back to their inception, right? I mean, you look at, you know, this issue, which will be in next week's pickups, haven't read it yet, but like Thor, right? You have issue 750. It is cool to me that I can have Thor issue 750, and then I can have Thor issue 100, and it's the same character, it's the same series, even though it's been different series, they've rebooted, and, you know, legacy numbering is a relatively recent addition. That is the part that I love. So for me and my collection goals, like, value is great, but for the most part, I just want to have complete collections of things that I care about. So some of my long-term goals, you know, that won't surprise anybody, you guys know my number one long-term goal, the thing that I have been working towards the entire like 10 plus years that I've been collecting, is having a complete run of The Amazing Spider-Man. I want to have issue 1 through issue 900 or whatever it will be by the time I finish. Maybe 1,000. That would actually be a fun, I don't think it would be possible, but to try and complete that goal before issue 1,000 would be cool. I don't know if that's possible though, but this is many years it's going to take me, right? Because that's a lot of comic books that you have to buy. A lot of those books are very expensive, especially the early ones. Getting an issue number 1 is going to be a huge investment. So that's definitely a long-term goal. Like, before I die, I want to have every issue of The Amazing Spider-Man, but I'm not going to be there anytime soon. I mean, who knows? Life goes in crazy directions, so maybe something happens and I am able to do it quicker, but that's definitely kind of my main goal. And then hand in hand with that, if I have a complete Amazing Spider-Man run, I need to have Amazing Fantasy 15, even if it's a 1.0, you know, a really low grade. I need to, before the day I die, have a copy of the first appearance of Spider-Man. And I know that every year that passes, that only gets harder and harder. So, you know, it seems less and less likely as time goes on, but it's just something that I'm going to work towards. I mean, even a lot of the bulk that I have in my collection, I mean, that can one day be sold or traded to help contribute to getting a Fantasy 15. So that is a huge part of my collecting. That'll be the crowning achievement, the prized possession. The day I get Amazing Fantasy 15, like, I've peaked in my comic collecting, and I will never let that go. So I'm working on that. That's definitely way, way, way in the future, because that is an extremely expensive comic book. That is a huge investment, but that is something that I will definitely be working towards in my life, trying to accomplish that. But as far as shorter term goals and goals that I can achieve, I have one that I recently achieved. Well, I achieved this a few months ago, and if you've seen every episode of Around the Boxes, this happened on the show. And that is I wanted to complete my Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5 run, because I stopped picking it up from about issue 30 something till when I came back around issue 60 something. Wasn't a huge goal, but that was kind of a short-term focus that I set for myself to pick up those issues, and then I ended up doing it, and that felt really good. And that's why I think goal setting is important, because it was really exciting when I did that, because I had every Amazing Spider-Man issue from pretty much 700 up till then, and so filling that gap kept me up to date with the collection, because obviously trying to have a complete Amazing Spider-Man run, I need to make sure I'm getting all of the new ones that are coming out, and that's something that I obviously maintain. But some other short-term goals that I have that I'm actively working on, or going to be working on in the near future, I really want to fill in my Amazing Spider-Man run from issue 666 to 700. I've talked about this before on the channel. I started picking up Amazing Spider-Man off the rack at issue 666, but I fell off around the 680s, and then I came back around 700. So there's another gap in my collection there, but if I fill that gap, then I will have every Amazing Spider-Man issue printed after 666. And then I can work my way back from there. So as far as completing the Amazing Spider-Man run, breaking it up into smaller goals is kind of how I'm doing it. So right now I'm trying to fill in the late 600s from when I was picking up books. After that, I'll try to fill in all of the 600s, and then I'll try to fill in all the 500s, and then I'll try to fill in all the 4, and kind of work my way back until eventually I get back to those very expensive issues a couple years from now, and I can maybe afford them a little bit easier. But that's kind of my current Amazing Spider-Man goal, back issue wise. And it's not too expensive either. Those books are relatively cheap. You just have to find them. I'll end up buying them online, probably eBay and stuff like that. Just not really buying books right now, but once I am again, that'll be probably my first priority. Another couple short-term goals that I really want to do is I want to collect every Venom Legacy issue. So Venom is at Legacy 200. I would like to have every single issue, and I don't have most of them because these are the Venom standalone series, which I never really got. So Venom Lethal Protector and Venom, whatever. They did like a bunch of 5-issue miniseries in the 90s, and when Marvel Legacy started, they counted it out and made them all legacy numbers. And so I would like to have a complete Venom collection, because I think that would be really cool to have as well. Probably starting with the Donny Cates run, because I really love that run, so I would love to collect that entire run. But then I'll work my way back. Same with the Rick Remender run is really, really good. So a lot of good stuff to have in there. So I think it'd be cool to have that entire collection. And hand in hand with that is also a Carnage collection. I want to get every Carnage Legacy issue, which isn't a lot. It's like 36 or maybe even 100. It's not a lot. But I actually would really love to collect every Carnage appearance. Now, I don't know how feasible that is, because he might have appeared in a lot of random stuff, but like the main, like all of the Amazing Spider-Man issues that have Carnage in it, all of the standalone Carnage issues, all of the like Venom versus Carnage and things like that. I would love to have a complete Carnage collection, because as you guys know, Carnage is my favorite villain. I already have his first appearance signed by Mark Bagley. I would love to get that whole collection. And then the last kind of short-term goal I have, and this is a less measurable one, so it's not really something I can accomplish, but I just want to get more signature series CGC books. I really love signed comic books. I've bought a lot of them this year, and I would love to get more. Specifically, I have the first appearance of Carnage signed by Mark Bagley. I would love to get the first appearance of Venom signed by Todd McFarlane and have those two kind of as a set. I think that would be really, really, really cool. Other creators I'd like to get, let's see, I have Jerry Conway, I have John Romita. I mean, I'd always love more of them. I would really like to get my Stan Lee signed books graded by CBCS. That is also something I would like to accomplish this year, if possible. It's a little expensive, and it's something I've been kind of afraid to do, because the idea of mailing those books, I don't want to risk them getting lost in the mail or anything like that. So however I end up doing it, I'd have to do it very carefully, whether I fly to the CBCS place myself and drop them off or whatever the case. I want to make sure that nothing happens to those books, but I would love to get their signature verified in slabbed. I know the signature is real, but obviously, if I sent it to CGC, they wouldn't verify it, but CBCS does, so I'd get the yellow label. But the main reason I want to get them graded, it's not because I think they're high grade, they're not. I just want to get them slabbed because those books are so valuable, both sentimentally and quite literally, so I want to get them in the best protection I can, which would definitely be a slab. So those are some of my goals that I have. I can't really think of any others that I'm forgetting. But those are the big collecting goals that we're definitely, this isn't going to be the last time I talk about these. As I do keep buying more comic books, and especially once I start buying back issues again, like, you guys will see me working on these goals and hopefully accomplishing some of these goals. And when the day comes when I can make a video showcasing my complete Carnage collection or my complete Venom collection or whatever, that is something I look very much forward to. And I'll probably have an update about these in a future episode, sooner rather than later. I want to actually look and see, like, what issues do I need for the Carnage run? What issues do I need for the Venom run? And which ones do I have? And so we'll probably show that and talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, let me know. I know I've asked for a lot of comments, but comment down below, what are some of your collecting goals? What are some things that you are working on? Because these are obviously very personal things. And what I mean by personal, I don't mean private. I mean, like, your goals could be completely different than mine. Mine are largely Spider-Man focused, obviously, but maybe you really like a specific artist and you want to collect, you know, the entire John Romita Jr. run on Spider-Man, or maybe you like a character that I don't, or whatever the case. You know, let me know some of your comic goals. I would love to hear it. You know, the more discussion in the comments, the better. And I'm genuinely interested in knowing what some of you guys are focusing on collecting wise. I assume people who are watching me like Spider-Man, but that might not be the case. I know I do have some DC fans out there. I obviously don't collect almost any DC, so maybe that's something I'll dive into later in life. But right now, I kind of want to focus on the thing I care about the most, which is Spider-Man. If the day comes where I complete my Amazing Spider-Man run, what will I do next? You know, that's obviously far in the future. What I would have to say and guess would be work on upgrades, right? So if you have a complete run, you might have some really low grade copies in that run, so you might work on getting like a higher grade copy of like some of the older issues and stuff like that. But aside from that, you know, maybe move on to a different series. Maybe I collect the entire Spectacular Spider-Man run. Maybe I collect the entire Web of Spider-Man run, you know, and try to get the whole Todd McFarlane Spider-Man run. Like, those are a little bit smaller than the 900 issue Amazing Spider-Man, but it would be cool if I accomplished Amazing Spider-Man to have all of the main Spider-Man series. Like, that would also be a very cool thing. So that's probably something I would dive into next. But Amazing Spider-Man is my focus right now. I don't want to get spread too thin trying to get those as well at the same time. So Amazing Spider-Man first, and then I'll worry about the rest. But that's about it, though. I don't have much in the way of other goals or any much else to talk about. So yeah, I guess we can dive into the last and main topic of today's video, which is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I loved it. I have seen some people on the internet who did not like it, and these might just be MCU haters. I'm not really sure. I didn't confirm. But there were definitely some people who were saying that, you know, it wasn't good, it wasn't creative, they're sick of all the cameos, like the MCU is becoming a cameo fest, and I get that, but you have to understand what these cameos are, because to me, first of all, okay, before I dive into talking about the movie, spoilers ahead, obviously. It's been out for over a week, so if you haven't seen it yet, you know, I can't be bothered not to spoil it. So if you don't want to spoil, go see the movie. Don't finish this video until you see it. You guys get the drill. I assume everyone's seen it already. So, the purpose of these cameos, which I guess I'll talk about that first, is not just like, hey, here's Black Bolt, he's cool. This is basically them saying, hey, we're in the multiverse, they exist there, which means they're going to be coming in the 616 universe, and they're basically just telling us they're casting. So basically, this was their way of teasing the fact that John Krasinski is going to be Reed Richards, right? Like, as soon as I saw John Krasinski, Reed Richards, I was like, yes, in the theater, because first of all, fans have been casting that for years, and I think it's awesome, and it basically confirms that Emily Blunt will probably be Sue Storm. So not only is that awesome, but also I know that now in the sixth, like, even though he died in the movie, right, I wasn't that sad when he died because I know that this was just a multiverse version of him. And so in the 616 universe, when the Fantastic Four starts becoming a thing, I know that it'll be John Krasinski. So that kind of confirmed that casting for me. So that was more than just a cameo. It had weight to it. And it was awesome to see. I loved that casting. I loved seeing him. I thought that was awesome. I did not expect Black Bolt to be there, and I was very happy to see him. Interestingly, the same casting as the Inhumans show, which was so bad, and has pretty much been retconned from the MCU continuity now, along with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Marvel Netflix shows. But he was awesome. I loved that we got to see his powers. I love Black Bolt. I think he's an awesome character. One of my favorite scenes in the comics is when in Infinity, when Thanos goes to Black Bolt and asks him for something, and he just yells no, and it like shatters the entire city around them. That's a super cool moment. So I was really happy to get to see Black Bolt, and the way he was beaten by Scarlet Witch was crazy cool. I was a little bit sad that there was no Tom Cruise Tony Stark, because this would have been the perfect opportunity to do it, but they did not do it, which is fair, but that would have been fun, especially because they had the like Ultron bots in the colors of Superior Iron Man. I mean, it was setting up perfectly for that, so I guess they just wanted to tease us. But all in all, though, thoughts on the movie. I loved Scarlet Witch. I think she carried the movie for me, in my opinion. I mean, I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I love Doctor Strange. But Scarlet Witch is one of my favorite MCU characters. I was very much looking forward to seeing her in this movie. And we all pretty much knew she was going to be the villain. I mean, they didn't confirm it before the movie came out. But, like, you could kind of tell, patching together context clues from the trailers and also just knowing her character arc. It was pretty obvious. And I thought it was really good. I mean, they made her properly creepy, and this was a horror movie, and I thought it was awesome. I loved seeing her, like, just go unleashed, and how powerful she was. I mean, she beat the Illuminati, like, without even trying. That was freaking awesome. And you do have the excuse of, well, she was corrupted by the Darkhold, so, like, now she's not. She can be good again. Now, I know that she seemingly died at the end of the movie, but like, she's not dead. We all know she's not dead. She, like, aside from the fact that I'm pretty sure we've confirmed that Elizabeth Olsen has signed on for like 3 solo movies, there's no way they kill her character off like that. I mean, she's a major Marvel character, and that was just kind of like, they were obviously vague about it, like the building crumbled in, but they never showed a body, so she's not dead. And I imagine now she's going to be, obviously her reputation is ruined. I mean, she's not going to be in the Avengers, but I think she'll kind of be a solo act trying to do good. But also, you know, people don't trust her anymore. And so I think that'll be a really interesting dynamic to see. I'm so excited to see more of her character. I love Elizabeth Olsen. I love Scarlet Witch. I think she's an awesome character. And yeah, I just want to see more. I mean, that's how I feel about it. As far as the actually seeing the Illuminati incursions being mentioned, this pretty much confirms that Secret Wars is going to be the next big saga. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what I want them to do with that. Oh, and I forgot to mention Clea being in the after credits. That's pretty cool. Charlize Theron's great. So excited to see that. I'm sure that'll be in Doctor Strange 3. But personally, if I'm Kevin Feige and I'm in charge of the future of the MCU, what I'm doing with it, I am not rushing into anything, right? Because one of the reasons Infinity War and Endgame had so much weight to them is because it took a long time to get there. I mean, it was 10 years of the MCU. And so, you know, Iron Man 1 and 10 years later having Endgame, like, that was a really big arc, and a lot happened in the meantime. So what I would do if I'm Marvel, and what I think they are probably going to do, is start setting up, obviously, the Fantastic Four. They might bring the Inhumans in. They're going to maybe bring mutants in and the X-Men and do all of that. Like, take your time introducing them, right? We don't want to rush them out and then be like, all right, Secret Wars time. Like, no. Introduce the X-Men. Introduce the Fantastic Four. Introduce, like, all these characters and take your time with it. And I imagine Doctor Strange is probably going to start assembling the Illuminati in the 616 universe because he saw them. He knows about the incursions. Clea showed up in the after credits and was like, hey, you started an incursion. So obviously he's going to be combating those incursions. So he's probably going to form the 616 Illuminati. Now, I think that'll just kind of be in the background. Kind of like Thanos and the Infinity Stones were in the background during the Infinity Saga, right? Like, Infinity Stones would just kind of show up. It wasn't like the main focus of movies, but they were there. I think that'll kind of be like incursions. Like, things will just kind of be happening, and incursions will be a factor in the universe for a time. I think the next big Avengers movie will probably be Kang as the villain. Now, a lot of people were thinking that Kang was going to be the next big bad like Thanos. I don't think that's the case. I think Kang is going to be a big villain, but I think it'll be kind of like Ultron, where they'll make an Avengers movie, they'll fight Kang, and he'll be a big threat and he'll be a big villain, but he's not going to be the big bad, because I think the incursions and all of that is setting up the big bad, right? And so I think we have an Avengers movie with Kang, and that could incorporate incursions into it, but it also could just focus on Kang and the time travel and all of that. And so I think that'll happen, and then we'll have a whole nother phase of movies leading up, and this will feature the Illuminati, trying to stop the incursions and fighting them. Basically, the whole arc of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run could be worked into the story of the MCU during that. And then I think ultimately it will culminate in 2 big movies, just like Infinity War and Endgame. I think there will be Secret Wars Part 1 and Secret Wars Part 2, or you don't have to call them that. I don't know what you would call the first one. It could be like Secret Wars The Last Incursion or whatever, but I think, in my opinion, what I would do, that first movie should be about the last incursion, aka the beginning of Secret Wars, right? The 2015 Secret Wars, which that began with the Ultimate Universe and the 616 universe being the last 2 universes, and it was this last incursion and seemingly the end of the multiverse. And so the Illuminati are trying to stop that. So I think that this entire Avengers movie could be about the Illuminati trying to prevent that incursion, right? And they're trying to fight that. And Doctor Doom being involved and that whole arc. And then I think that movie ends with the creation of Battleworld, right? With Doctor Doom getting the power of a Beyonder, stopping the incursion, creating Battleworld, Reed Richards and some of the heroes getting through on a ship. I think that movie could end with, the world ending, the ship crashes into Battleworld, the heroes climb out of the ship, and then the camera pans up to a statue of God Doom, and then cut to black. That's the end of the movie. Now, obviously, part 2 would follow the story of Secret Wars, right? The heroes in Battleworld trying to overthrow God Doom and reset the universe that they're from. But I don't think they should do it right away. With Infinity War and Endgame, they did it a year later, and they had a couple movies in between, and that was fine. What I would say is they should do an entire phase between these movies, and that entire phase should be set on Battleworld. This is a controversial take, maybe, but I think that they could pull it off. Because if you guys remember, back in 2015, I believe it was, when Secret Wars came out, that entire summer, there were no Marvel books that weren't set on Battleworld. Like, the actual universe did end for that summer, right? If you wanted to pick up Spider-Man, you picked up Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, which was set in Battleworld. There was Infinity Gauntlet set in Battleworld. There was Marvel Zombies. There was the Thor Corps. There was, all of these little mini-series that took over the main series. So every character that had a main series, there was Civil War set in Battleworld. And so what they could do is do an entire phase of movies set in the Battleworld versions.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Shut up, Siri. Set in the Battleworld version of their reality, right? I think that would be super cool. Like, imagine if during this time a Spider-Man movie comes out, but it's not about, Tom Holland in the 616 universe. It's about Tobey Maguire, and it's a Renew Your Vows movie, and he's in Battleworld or whatever. They could do all sorts of wacky, like, one-off movies set in Battleworld. They could have a movie about the Thor Corps. They could have a movie about all this stuff, and, like, cameos in those movies or after credits, you're having the 616 heroes like kind of showing up, right? and starting to infiltrate Battleworld, because that's kind of how it was in the comics. Like, they were kind of just working their way through the universe, and they could do that, and they could, Black Panther can get the Infinity Gauntlet, and they could do such a cool, and then that all culminates in Avengers Secret Wars, which would be the 616 heroes, going up against Doom. And I think that they should bring Thanos back, and they should have God Doom kill Thanos like he did in the comics, because that immediately established his power level. And I think it was Thanos with an Infinity Gauntlet. I might be wrong, but like, he demolished him, and that would be so cool to see on screen. Black Panther getting the Infinity Gauntlet would be awesome. Having the Wall be the thing, and having Galactus there, and all this stuff. Like, this would be such an insane movie. The visuals of Secret Wars is so cool. But I don't think that they could just do it as one movie. I think Battleworld should have an entire phase devoted to it. I think whether it's phase 6, whether it's phase 7, I think phase 5 should focus on introducing all these new characters, which is what they're doing right now. Phase 6 could be continuation of introducing those characters and then setting up Kang, culminating in the Kang Avengers movie. And then phase 7 could be setting up fighting the incursions, ending with the final incursion, and then phase 8 could be all set in Battleworld, culminating in Secret Wars. I mean, this would last at least, 15, 20 years from now, right? I mean, the first saga was 10 years. It only makes sense to go bigger, and so give it more time and more movies. And so I think 15, 20 years from now, after we've had all of these characters, all of this setup, and then we have Avengers Secret Wars, where all of the characters are there, right? You bring in Tobey Maguire, you bring in Andrew Garfield, you've got Thanos back, you've got all of the Avengers, all of the X-Men, Inhumans, like everybody fighting this massive war against God Doom, Miles Morales. Like, that would be really, really cool. So that's what I hope they do. It seems like they're going to do something like that. I mean, obviously, I'm getting very specific in the planning out of how it would work. But setting up incursions, it pretty much confirms that Secret Wars is going to be what they do next. So I'm looking forward to that. That was kind of my biggest takeaway from Doctor Strange. As a standalone movie, it was just good. I enjoyed it. I liked that it was different. It was nice to see Sam Raimi in the MCU. I liked that the genre was a bit, it was a horror movie. But my biggest takeaway from it, like, aside from just enjoying the movie, was like, incursions, Illuminati, Secret Wars is confirmed. I mean, we've all known for a while that Secret Wars is probably what's next. There was some rumors that Joe and Anthony Russo were going to be coming back for Secret Wars, which I hope they do, because they nailed it with Infinity War and Endgame. But in my opinion, I think that's how they should do it. Devote an entire phase to Battleworld and do Secret Wars right, and I think it would be really, really cool. So that's going to do it for this episode of Around the Boxes. We talked about a lot of stuff, so do not forget to leave a comment down below, guys. What are your thoughts on the current run of Amazing Spider-Man and the future of it? What are some of your comic collecting goals? And give me your thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you agree with my predictions for the future? Do you think that they should do that? Or do you think that a whole phase devoted to Battleworld would not be a good idea? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to have a discussion with you guys. And of course, if you enjoy this series, if you enjoy this episode, please leave a like. That really helps me to know what you guys enjoy and what you guys don't enjoy. If the longer episodes get more likes than the shorter episodes, or the shorter episodes get more likes than the long episodes, that kind of guides me that way. And it also just helps the YouTube algorithm to push the content out and get more people into this community, which I would really love to do, because I just love interacting with you guys, and I just want more people to interact with. So, share the video with your friends, share it with your family. If you have someone who hated Doctor Strange, send it to them and see what they think. Or if you have a friend who loves the MCU but knows nothing about the comics, send the video to them and have them check out my explanation of Secret Wars and what the future of the MCU will be, and get them hype about it. Whatever the case, I appreciate it if anyone can share the video, because that really goes a long way. So appreciate you guys. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. And I will have, probably next week, I will have an announcement about some new content. I teased it and mentioned it last week. I don't have a timeline on it yet, but probably next week. I'm going to be continuing with Around the Boxes, and Webheads will hopefully be coming back soon. But aside from that, I should have an announcement next week on something pretty cool. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next one.